All right, good afternoon, Facebook. I'm Erica Fernandez with CCIC Communications, and we are live in the classroom today in Miss Tisha Bronikowski's AP World History class. Now, this is our first time in a World History class here in CCIC, so we're excited. But Miss Bronikowski, what are we learning about today?
So we are learning about World War II, specifically after the invasion of Poland, and what happens, what transpires throughout the rest of the war.
And you were telling me that this is a mix of both 9th and 10th grade students.
Correct.
So what are we going to be focusing, or what's the lesson plan for today?
So the lesson plan is for the students to do a little bit of research on a topic that I'm going to give them, and then to create a human timeline around the room.
Okay, and so we're going to see that, a little bit of activity. First, there's going to be a little bit of a lesson, and then the activity is going to begin. So I'm going to let you take over, and you have the floor.
All right. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is I'm going to come around the room and I'm going to give you an event that occurred in World War II. Your job, I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. Your job is to use your computers to research this event, and there's a couple of things I want you to take into consideration. The first thing I want you to do, because we are making a timeline, is that you are going to make sure to tell me the date of the event, right? Be specific on that. And if it's obviously a battle, there's a range of dates. You're going to tell me what happened, right? Why am I giving you this event? Obviously, it's something important in World War II, so I want you to tell me its significance. What front it's on, right? So we have 3 major fronts. Of course, we'll talk more about this in a second, obviously. But we have the European front, Mediterranean front, and the Pacific front. And then in your document, you're going to see that there is a source here. You're going to explain that, or try to explain that source, how it connects to the event that I gave you, right? Why did I give you that picture or that map or that text document? In the paper that I'm about to give you, you can write all over it. It belongs to you, but you're going to do research first, and then we're going to share out. Okay, any questions before we get started with that? Yes, no, maybe? All right, here we go. I'm going to come around and pass these out. And then I will set the timer. You're welcome.
Do we write on this?
Yes, you can write all over it. Oops, sorry. Just ignore the name that's on the top. Ignore the name that's written on the top. Ignore the name that's written at the top. All right, guys, I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes. You're going to do your research and to take into considerations the things that are on the screen. Here we go. Yes. Oh, sorry about that. What you got? Yeah. Yeah, just tell me what it is, why it's significant. Yeah, you can write on the paper. All right, about 3 minutes remaining. Make sure to tell me like why this is significant, why I gave you this particular image or source.
See the thing that you had on the screen.
Do what?
Like all the things I need to write down.
So just tell me why it's significant. What's he looking at? What is this?
A grave, I guess.
It's bodies from a concentration camp or toughest a concentration camp. Right, so we had heard rumors about things like the Holocaust, but it wasn't until General Eisenhower was right here is there till we see what's actually been going on. That's an easy one. Good. You got questions? So just tell me like why it is significant and like so you put here marks the end of World War II, but like specifically against who's correct, right? The last one is to fall. You guys good over here? Good. Okay. You good? You good? It's a big deal. That's a big deal. All right, guys, about 20 seconds left, so go ahead and wrap up what you're doing, and we'll talk about some Allied goals real quick before we put ourselves into a timeline. All right. So previously we've talked about how there's this tripartite pact, right? And there are 3 countries that are going to sign the tripartite pact to become part of the Axis powers. So remind me, who are the 3 countries that are part of the Axis powers? Give me one. You can say it out loud. Germany is one.
And Italy.
Italy, of course, is another one. Who's the other one?
Japan.
Japan, right? And the goals of the Allies during the rest of the war, right, is to obviously destroy these particular countries, right, and to take their capitals. So we're going to talk about that throughout our timeline. So what is the capital of Germany? Like the goal, of course, is to capture what? What's the capital? Berlin. And then in Italy, the goal is to capture the capital, which is? Ooh, geography.
Naples.
No, not Naples.
Sicily.
No.
I don't know. I'm not Italian.
Well, I'm not either. Yes, it's Rome. Of course it's Rome. And Japan, you know this one? It is Tokyo, right? Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, and I am going to ask you to put yourselves into a timeline. And you'll notice along the room are different dates from 1939 all the way to 1945 in the back. And what you guys are going to do is you're going to put yourself in a timeline. You're going to talk to your neighbors to make sure you're in order. And also with your neighbors, you're going to discuss your event and why it is important. Okay? I'm going to give you about 3 minutes to do this. Let's go. Bring your papers with you. You don't need your laptops.
Right.
I would say that 44, right? Because like,
What is the event? Battle Bulge is, yeah.
okay.
Well, it lasts for a while, but yes. All right, let me move my podium out of the way. You're not 1939. No. This is the end of the war in Europe. So this is May 1945. 1938, the war hasn't even started yet. What did you look up? So look, let me put VE Day.
I was assuming it's Veterans Day.
No, not Veterans Day. It's Victory in Europe.
What the heck?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's great.
And there you have it.
Okay.
So it's just the end of the war in Europe, right? That's all it is. That's okay. Yeah, that's right. All right, everybody's lined up. You talked to everybody around you so we can discuss. Everybody comfortable with where they're at? Yes? Okay. Well, I'll cut us short a little bit so we don't need that time. All right, so I'm going to get us started because we have a couple of us missing today, but that's okay. Prior to this, Hitler has conquered the Rhineland, right? What have the Allies done about that? Nothing, right? Then he went on to take Austria. What did the Allies do? Nothing. Then he wanted the Sudetenland, right? And the Allies gave it to him, and then he took all of what? Do you guys remember? All of Czechoslovakia, right? Watch out for that phone over there. So up until this point, what have the Allies done? Not a single thing. So does that embolden Hitler to do more? Yes. Well, how can you negotiate with Adolf Hitler, right? He's not going to be satisfied with what you give him until he has complete, utter world domination.
Yes, but it's also good to know that we should not discredit Britain's attempts.
Oh, most definitely, right? Neville Chamberlain does try the policy of appeasement. It's just not successful, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with my event, which is the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, right? So Adolf Hitler knows that the Allies aren't going to just stand around and not do anything for very long. So he's got to find a friend. So according to the German-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact, who is he going to seek out for friendship? Russia, right, or the Soviet Union, right, specifically Joseph Stalin. And they agree to work together and to not attack each other. And here is a political cartoon of Joseph Stalin and Adolf Hitler. Joseph Stalin is saying, "The bloody assassin of workers, I presume," and tipping his hat to Hitler, who is saying, "The scum of the earth, I believe," who is also tipping his hat, right, assuming that they are working together. All right, so that leads us to our next event.
Okay, mine's the joint invasion of Poland that happened in 1939. It was when Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, and a city of Danzig in a small Slavic state invaded Poland. It's on the European front, and it marked the beginning of World War II. The picture, it has like a bunch of arrows from the east and west side invading Poland, and it marks the path of what they took to invade Poland. And they grouped together, and their topic said that the land had been illegally annexed by Poland, and that's why.
Right, so they make good on their non-aggression pact, right, and they are going to jointly occupy Poland, and that is significant, as you said, because that is the official start of World War II, right, September 1st, 1939. All right, so does Hitler take Poland easily? Yes. What do the Allies do about it besides declaring war? Nothing really. Does he go on to take lots of other countries? Yes, including, and I see somebody missing over here. Where's France? Where's Hitler in France? Over here. Explain to me what is going on here.
Okay, so I found that in 1940, the Germans had bombed France's capital.
Uh-huh.
I didn't get too far into why they did it. I just know that they wanted to destroy the economy and
Well, because they want to conquer it, right? That's why.
Increase the population. And then it did say something about 1944, where there had been 4 years from 1940 that the Nazis were in France.
Okay.
But I didn't get far enough into that to know why.
So explain to me what's going on in your image and why this is significant. What's going on here?
So they're standing in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Who is?
Hitler and I don't know who.
It's just German officials, yes. So Hitler standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, what does that indicate?
He has like control over it.
Right, so he's conquered France, right? So he's conquered Poland, lots of countries on the other side of Europe, on the western side, obviously conquering France, right? He's been very successful. The Allies have not been able to stop him. Let's move on to our next event.
Okay, my event is the Battle of Britain. It was fought in July 10th to October 31st, 1940. The Germans attacked coastal targets and the British shipping operations in the English Channel. It was fought on the Western Front. This demonstrated that Britain had the courage and resilience of the country's military and its people and allowed them to remain free from Nazi occupation.
So was it successful for the Nazis? No, right? The British were able to successfully repel the Nazis, right? So handedly giving Hitler his first defeat, right? So is that very problematic for the Nazi regime? Yes, it is, right? So for my next event, right, I'm going to tell you guys about Operation Barbarossa. Operation Barbarossa is when Hitler is upset about losing the Battle of Britain and not being able to invade Britain, that he's going to turn his sights on the Soviets, right? But that's a problem. Why is that a problem? Yeah, we just talked about this non-aggression pact, right? That they are friends. And now he is going to stab Stalin in the back and invade the Soviet Union. And fun fact, it's not gonna go well for Hitler at all, right? Not even a little bit. All right, moving on. What do we got over here?
I have the sinking of the USS Arizona, and it was one of the ships that was bombed during Pearl Harbor by Japan. And I put that it was a major event because it's kind of what roped the U.S. into World War II.
That's exactly right. So the United States is going to enter into World War II as a result. Obviously, huge defeat of major parts of the Pacific Fleet. Now we are now at war with Japan. The United States is in, and it's not going well. What you got?
I have the Bataan Death March, and basically 75,000 prisoners of war walked across the Philippines, and they got shoved into small, cramped boxcars to go to the, I can't remember the camp name, but they were all transported to that camp and they had to walk.
So why did the Japanese even have any interest in the Philippines? Who owns the Philippines? Who controls the Philippines right now? Do you remember? We do, the United States, right? So not only have they attacked Pearl Harbor, but then they also attack a U.S. colony in taking the Philippines, right? So is it just dragging the U.S. further and further in the war? Yeah. Yes, it is. All right, Jalen?
I have the Battle of Midway. It was fought June 4th to June 7th of 1942. And it was on the Pacific Coast Front. And I heard it was the turning point.
It is.
Was where they fought and Japan lost a lot of their materials.
That's exactly. What is a turning point? Like, what would you define a turning point as?
When the person that was originally losing slowly gets the upper hand.
That's correct. So prior to this, the United States has been losing, right, obviously with Pearl Harbor, the Bataan Death March, but midway from this point on, the U.S. is going to win. Now, the fighting is going to be brutal and obviously lots of death on the Pacific Front, but it is extraordinarily successful for the United States to win the Battle of Midway. All right, we're going to switch gears now, and we're going to talk about Russia for a second.
So I have the Battle of Stalingrad, and it was on August 23rd, 1942. It's when the Soviet Union defeated the German army, and the significance was it was the turning point, most likely like the psychological turning point of it, because Germany admitted defeat for the first time, and it was fought in the Eastern Front.
Right, which is a huge turning point because the Russians are going to win and start advancing, pushing their offensive off to Berlin, right? So they're going to try to take Berlin from that side. All right, so my next one is Operation Torch. Operation Torch, so we talked about one of our goals is to take out the different capitals, right? So Rome, Berlin, and Tokyo. So the goal here is to land in northern Africa, which is occupied territory, into French northern Africa, and to launch an offensive from there, right? So the Allies in Operation Torch are going to land in North Africa and then eventually be able to invade through Italy, all right? So tell us what you have next because I see someone very interesting in that picture.
I have the tyrannical And this is going to be a conference between the new Allied powers, the President Franklin Roosevelt, Winston Churchill, the current Prime Minister of Britain, and a very important figure here is going to be Joseph Stalin. Now, we're going to see, after Hitler's assaults on Russian land, that Joseph Stalin is actually going to join forces with the enemies to the Axis powers.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend,
Exactly.
right?
And this is going to be on discussion on what to do with the Axis powers, and specifically, it's going to focus on military tactics around the Asia Minor and Middle East.
Perfect. All right. Natalie, explain to us what you have.
I have Operation Husky, and it happened July 9th to August 17th, 1943. It was a major campaign of World War II in which the Allies took the island of Sicily from the Axis powers. It happened in the Mediterranean front. The picture shows the troop routes of the invasion and where it took place.
Right. So I had Operation Torch, right? We're going to land in northern Africa. And then now you have the next logical step, which is to get into Sicily to try to invade Italy. All right. Let's talk about another potential invasion. Damien, tell us what you got.
I have Operation Fortitude. It was a deception operation meant to mislead the Germans on where we were going to attack northwestern Europe. And it was really successful. The Germans were misled into thinking that we wouldn't attack Normandy nearly as hard as we did. And then in the photo is a dummy tank, which is one of the things we used, which was meant to get the Germans to waste ammo on fake tanks.
Right, so Hollywood creates all these inflatable tanks and wooden planes by the thousands and lines them up at Pas-de-Calais, right? Making Hitler think that's where the invasion's going to come. So what does Hitler do with his forces? He mobilizes them there, right? But it's a deception operation. Is that where we land? No, right? We'll find out where we land here in a second. All right, Gigi, tell us what we got. Okay, tell us what happened. Because we just invaded Sicily, right? So is that going to be successful? Are we going to capture it? So tell me what's going on in the picture. Who's in the picture? So those are American forces, right? Allied forces. What are they? What's in the background? What's that building in the background? It's the Colosseum, right, where the gladiators fought. So obviously, if Allied troops are in Rome, did the Allies successfully capture Rome? Yes, they did, right? So on our list of goals was to capture Rome. Did we do that? Yes, we did, right? So I'm going to put a line through it because we did successfully do that. All right, so that's one domino down. Afam, tell us what's going to happen next.
I got Operation Overload. It was from June 6th to August 20th in 1944. It was when the Allied forces landed on Normandy beaches for the largest assault in history. And it questioned the German army's ability to control Western Europe.
Right, so we had convinced Hitler that it was going to come at Calais. Instead, the invasion comes at Normandy, right? Brutal fighting, right? It is absolutely horrific fighting.
All right, we have been live inside Miss Bronikowski's AP World History class here at Clear Falls High School. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. But remember, you can watch this on our Facebook page anytime.